you aren't being a proper woman, therefore you must be a witch. You must be a witch.
Witches, coven mates, sisters, friends, weird allies out in the circle we make in the dark between our ears. Thank you so much for being here for this Witches Found episode of the Missing Witches podcast. I'm excited today. It's a fun one. We get to talk about the magic of the things we put into us, the way we make food, the way we feed each other, the way those things can be magic and keys, and also about letting things go and how relationships change and projects change. You've heard us talk before with great love and enthusiasm about Sami from Foxglove Pharm. We've waxed endlessly about finding a friend who was excited about our project and having this whole idea of podcast sponsorship be something so much better, feel like real allies across the distance. And so we finally get to sit down with Sami from Foxglove Pharm. This is not a sponsored episode. We really just love her work. And we thought, who better in this season when we're thinking about potions and cooking up magic, and kind of as a companion piece to the Hildegard of Bingen episode that'll come out earlier this week. Who better to talk to us about that? So welcome, Sami of Foxglove Pharm. I would love it if you would do like an intro, like who are you these days? What are you thinking about? How the fuck are you?
Oh man. Is that anything that anyone can even honestly answer right now? So I'm Sami, as you've already mentioned. I run Foxglove Pharm, which is just this passion project that I have been working on for, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 years now, maybe 5. What is time? If anything, time is an illusion, right?
Yeah.
I'm based out of the beautiful woods outside of Memphis, Tennessee. Live in a little treehouse on a lake with my wonderful wild children and, 6 to 30 raccoons on any given day.
Why are there 6 to 30 raccoons?
I also run a wildlife rescue called Out of the Wood because I don't know how to say no. And I just keep picking up more projects. So full-time job, Foxglove Pharm, kids, wildlife rescue, treehouse in the woods.
And so are you good at taking care of yourself? Did you learn how to make things like your anxiety, which I really enjoy, or some of these healing things that you sell as like part of your own self-care? Or are you someone who like cares for others sort of endlessly, emptying endlessly?
Well, my therapist told me that I can't pour from an empty cup. So I try to keep that advice dear. She's been giving me a lot of gems lately and honestly is supporting this whole ship right now during this apocalypse. But, I did start making things for myself and for friends. My neighbor's kid had a weird ear infection. So I whipped something up and was like, here, try this. And, when my anxiety was flaring up one time, I thought, I bet I have something on hand for this. And checked a few books and made a tea and then was like, oh yeah, like this is anxiety. Like this is what I'll share. And so everything that I create is either for me or for someone I love. And then I just share it with everyone because we're all kind of going through this same universal struggle, right? So we all have a need for these things.
Yeah, no, I feel you exactly. The universal struggle part, especially, and like finding, I'm really inspired by your ability to like look around and learn from the materials that are around you to find ways that can like heal you a bit and maybe heal the people around you. Was that always like something you knew how to do? Were you like a good cook or how did you learn that?
So I'm definitely not a good cook. I can cook. I do cook. I don't know that anyone actually enjoys it, but I try. I've always just been very interested in how like the things around us can heal us. Like basically how all of the answers are out there in nature, just waiting to be found. And so, I've always kind of been drawn to like herbal remedies and plant medicine and the woo. I mean, if we're being honest, like I love that kind of stuff. And so just reading books and following other like magical witches and seeing, I just really love learning about all of the properties of a plant and how different parts can help in different ways. And then experimenting with how to make the flavors work well together. Like, how do you help someone fall asleep and make it taste good? Because there are some sleepy herbs that taste like crap. So yeah, it's a fun experiment to play and then find things that work. And it's like, oh my gosh, like this worked. How cool is that?
Yeah. Do you feel like it can be like a dangerous experiment? Do you have cautionary tales about playing with herbs?
Not specifically. Why? The most random thing came to mind, and it is not even directly related. But I'm going to share it. So one time I was making moonshine. I don't drink anymore, but one time I was making moonshine, and I thought, I wonder if it smells good with this rosemary that I had added to it. I don't know what I was thinking. I was still drinking then, but I took a little whiff of it and then burnt off every nose hair I had. So that was a lesson learned. But I've definitely put too much like anise in something and then had to pour it all down the drain because that flavor is horrible to me. Some people seem to like it.
Yeah. Can we talk about not drinking? Like, I think that for myself, and I know for a lot of people, this pandemic time alone has been like really hard on the leaning in to booze. I like to have a relationship with alcohol that is like balanced and joyful and around a fire, and those moments of like a perfect glass of wine or like a magical cocktail on a summer solstice or something. But maintaining that relationship with alcohol is hard. That's a spirited spirit,
Yes. So I actually quit drinking maybe 3.5 years ago. I just found that the decisions I made were not in my highest and best, right? Like I might have a good time, but I would also do things that were kind of just detrimental to who I wanted to be. And so one day I just made the decision, like, I'm just not going to do this anymore. And then thankfully somebody said, we'll see how long that lasts. And I'm so competitive that I will never drink again because I can't allow them to be right. So during the pandemic, though, there have absolutely been so many times that I would think like, being like bummed out would make me want to drink, or finally getting to see somebody that I hadn't seen in so long and be like, oh man, I would love to just have a glass of wine and sit on the porch. But I've really learned just to find other ways for me to get through it. Like there's other ways that are better for me to cope with the, oppressing reality that is our world right now. But I just didn't make good choices when I drank. And I love when my friends have had a few cocktails and are feeling silly and are dancing around. And I can do that too with zero judgment because they're not going to remember it. So it's really a win-win for me. I still get to be a weirdo.
What are some of the other things you've found? Like, what are some of the other outlets or ways that, like when you're sad, for example, or when you want to have that moment with a friend, what do you turn to now? What's your potion of choice these days?
I honestly just try really hard to be in the moment. Like there's some herbalist systems, I'm not going to lie. But honestly, I just try to focus on where I am. And when I'm feeling really depressed, I try to like analyze, like, what is it that's causing this and what can I do? And sometimes it's, well, what you can do is get in the bathtub, turn off the lights and just be silent. And sometimes the answer is like, get in the car and just drive around for an hour and listen to terrible pop punk from the early 2000s and just like scream. I really just try to like it sounds so cheesy, but I really just try to let my like spirit tell me what it needs. Like, what are we feeling? Do I need to dance? Do I need to dance this out right now? I think it's our mutual friend, Angela, who is all about like, I'm just going to dance it away. And I just love that. And it helps like movement and getting out of your head. And then, you know, when you're with friends, being with friends and putting the things that might be weighing you down, either putting them in a little box for later or talking about it with your friend and working through it, because God, conversation like that is like, I mean, it's therapy. It's therapeutic.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I've been thinking about how like, you know, we inherit addiction, or like we at least inherit like addiction patterns, and like what that is for sure a reality in my family. So trying to have a relationship with booze, which I have like enjoyed for a long time, but in a way that it isn't a way of pushing away feelings or pushing away experiences, or just like turning on a performative self, you know, like I mean, I love her. She's great. I love my introverted self really loves the performative self, you know, she's great. Do you think there's a difference between like a natural remedy and a potion? Do you think about potions? Do you make potions?
Totally. I make potions. So to me, it's really like, it's your intention and it's your perspective that shapes literally everything, like literally your entire reality. And I saw this meme the other day that I thought is just so relevant. I'm going to mess it up, but the gist of it was, no, I don't come from a long line of depressed people. I am part of a warrior family battling unseen demons, and just it was just so fun. Oh man, I really messed it up. But just shifting that perspective from like, no, it's not depression. It's like a villain. And we have to like be warriors. And then there's, you know, the comparison of like coffee to a magical healing elixir. Like, yo, it totally is some mornings. Like,
yeah.
And it's, you know, how do you want to look at things? And I personally love having like a very magical life. And I want to feel, you know, glittery and magical and do things with intention. And so for me, like, yeah, keeping on the anxiety theme, like that is totally a potion. And when those invisible demons have got me, you know, that's where I can count on this soothing elixir to help, you know, fight them off. It's like a little spell. But I just think it's all, it's just like, what do you want from it? Like what is, and how will it benefit you the most? Like, your intention and your perception kind of shape it. I'm a real rambler today. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're perfect. Oh my God. You know, our theme is please expand. That's our theme in life. We want you to take up all the space and all the corners and ramble in all the directions. That's what this podcast is for. I was thinking while you're talking, I went through a period where I really wanted more sweetness in myself, and I wanted it to come out more in my partner too. Like we were tired and stressed, and we have a new baby, and things are like fucking hard, and so I put chocolate in the bottom of our coffees every morning. Not a lot, you know, like not enough that you'd really taste it, you know, but it was just this idea that like I don't really have control over so many parts of this, but I want to like put intention from the very start of the morning in the act of making this thing for each other, that there's this like little secret sweetness in it, you know. And I did think of it as a spell. I think of so much of what I do with food and drink as spells, for sure.
I love that. And I think that's a perfect example. I will sometimes, when I'm stirring my coffee, I stir it in the direction of a clock. And then I just think about all of the good things I want to happen that day. And so I just picture it being like, as my day progresses, here is all of the good stuff that will come to me. And that's just like exactly what you're doing, just kind of infusing a little intention in it. And now it's a spell. And now everything has a better outlook.
Yeah, it's true. Can you think of your most effective spell or potion? does it come to mind? I know sometimes our conscious mind doesn't like to keep those things, really. It likes to forget about them and move on. But
yeah, I really can't think of any one thing offhand.
It's okay. It's a funny thing about spells, especially successful ones, are like control work brain. It doesn't really want to remember how powerful those things are, I think.
And taking it way back, but in 2011, I was flat broke, newly married, now divorced, but that's neither here nor there. I had like a 650 credit score and was making $10 an hour, but I found a house that I was in love with. And I was like, I will have this house. Like, I will make this happen. And my sweet new husband, who is very much a Taurus and very grounded in reality, was like, okay, Sami, like, sure. And he just stayed very quietly by while I broke in that house in the middle of the night and put a picture of our family on that mantle. And I decided, like, this will be my home. And I live there now. Like, I've lived there since September of 2011. We managed to magic our way into it. And just, so I guess I would say that was pretty effective.
Yeah, it's pretty effective. I mean, I highly recommend and love the make your way into a space at night and put a picture self in it. That sounds like a powerful spell. The house had been abandoned for some time, and it was not difficult to get into the house. Right. So I didn't do any real crimes, but it wasn't mine. But I just knew it would be, and I just had to manifest that. And so I did, I did the work. I did all of the paperwork and the real things that had to be done, but I also did it all with like intention, and just from that moment decided, like, well, this is mine. Now, what do I need to do to make that true? And putting a photo of us up in the middle of the night seemed to be one of the things. Yeah. I mean, I relate to that. Like crazy. Like, my whole life is backwards. Like I bought a house that was like an hour and a half away from where I lived, and I couldn't drive, and I couldn't do any of the like work required, really. I mean, I didn't know how to maintain a crazy crumbling old 60s house in the woods, and I didn't have a partner that knew how to do those things. And like, now I live here and drive a car and own a car and have a partner who has always dreamed of this house, like I was always backwards.
I just think that's so fascinating. So you said, this is what I want. And so you got that. And then you're like, now let me work backwards and get everything else I need to do.
Let me figure this out. I'm sure it'll be fine. Yeah. I don't know.
For sure. And it is.
Yeah. And I wasn't always sure, like, listeners, trust me. Neither of us, I'm sure, were always sure.
Definitely a lot of tears.
Yeah, a lot of tears. I think the tears were probably part of the spell at some point. And I mean, I had to like shed the relationship I was in. It sounds like that was maybe part of it for you too. Like to get to the life that I saw in that house, there was like some not that you shed it, but I did. But I had like some broken hearts along the way, and and all of that has been like part of the working of whatever this life is, which I think brings me to, I want to make like a casual transition to talking about like death and transformation and letting go of things.
Jump right in.
Was it casual? No, but that's where I want to go.
Casual.
I mean, I think
speaking of transition.
Yeah. Speaking of transitions, everything dies. It's fall. I think it's worked into potion making too somehow, but I don't really know. What do you think out loud about that?
The end of anything is a death. And sometimes that could be the end of suffering, or the end of, it could be the end of a good thing. It can be like that ominous, scary interpretation of like the death card. But I mean, like in tarot, the death card is really just, ultimately it's a precursor to rebirth. So it's all a cycle, and it's all a circle, and it all comes back around. It's the death of an ailment and the birth of a better thing.
I mean, I guess everything we consume has given up its life in some way. I mean, every plant, even if you're a vegan, like everything is giving up life so that our life continues. So there's always like this gift exchange in a way between the world and us, that I think goes into how I try to think about making magic as a collaborator with the world. Do you know what I mean? I feel like you're a collaborator with the world. You have like 35 raccoons.
I do try to work with the world rather than against it. It's really big, and I'm not going to win without its help.
I've been thinking a lot about, also about like just feeding my kid, you know, like to have the experience of food be positive while, you know, still giving her power and control over her choices. But she's like 3 and she would just choose like Cheerios only, you know?
Yes. Gosh, 3 is so magic. I love 3. Mine are older and have very strong opinions now. But at 3, they're just so, like, they still see fairies and talk to them, and it's amazing. And but yeah, feeding time is tough at 3.
Yeah.
And I know when our girls were very little, we followed the same rules that like our parents had for us, which was, you know, the happy plate. Like, you have to clear your plate. And it was so stressful. And one day we just kind of were like, why do we do this? Why are we making everybody miserable at the one time a day that we have together to be chill? And so we were like, okay, well, you know, now you have to try everything, because it's important to be willing and flexible to like try those lima beans or that ramen or whatever, you know, new flavor there is. Like, you don't have to finish it, but you have to try it. And it's so much less stressful now. And then letting them help us plan menus, which doesn't really work as well at 3. But now, like every Friday, my kids go to their dad for a week and then me for a week. And on Fridays, when they come back to my house, we order groceries and we meal plan for the week. And that way everyone knows what to expect. And we kind of all agree that way too. So when Tuesday comes and suddenly Sophia doesn't like tacos anymore, no, you picked this on Friday, so this is what we're having tonight. And then it's not my fault. It's the menu board's fault.
Right. I love that. I'm going to try to do that. She definitely is a human of strong opinions, for sure. It's hard to get her to like answer a question directly about like what she wants to eat, but she'll circle back to it, you know. Right now she mostly just wants to talk about dragons, which I relate.
Me too.
Know? Oh yeah. I prefer to just talk about dragons.
Talk about dragon. Can we get her on this call?
Oh man, she's
our special guest.
A lot of opinions about dragons right now. Yeah, I had a friend staying with me recently, and she shared that, you know, food issues, control over food had been a huge part of her life until having a kid. And like her sort of mental health balance involved really strict control over what she ate in a way that was really not something she considered healthy, and that she didn't want to pass on to her kid. This fear of like what we pass on, like it has so much to do with how I think about craft, you know, like what am I making for her? What is the world I'm making for her? And then around food, like I felt so much pain from this friend in this moment about, you know, wanting to change a dynamic, sort of like, I guess what I was talking about with alcoholism, but wanting to change an inherited dynamic around what we put in us, you know. I don't really have a question there either. I just know that you have like older kids, and it seems like you've sort of figured out some ways of having a relationship with food and drink that seem healthy and full of love.
Thank you. I'm trying. And I mean, it's definitely a struggle. And I actually I've been watching these like YouTube parenting videos, because let me tell you, teenagers are really hard and different. Yeah. And I need all of the help I can get with them. But he said, I wish I could remember this guy's name. He's referred to as the guru a lot, but he said, things are only a struggle when you say they're a struggle. And I feel like that's really like important, and just to consider things lightly and not hold on to things so tightly. And, you know, when they push back, do you need to resist them pushing back? I know I fight the urge to quickly respond harshly. I have to really like swallow and think before I speak, because sometimes hurtful things will come out if I'm not careful, and I have to monitor that. And it was this like need to control things, and like, do you really need to control it, or is this an opportunity for your child to grow into who they are a little more? Like just taking a moment to pause and think, like, does this matter? Will this matter in 15 minutes or in 15 days or years? Like, probably not. And to just kind of hold things a little lighter and not let it mean so much when they say no, or when they make up some silly lie for no good reason, just, okay, but does it really matter? Just go with it and just support them. Break those generational curses, not be our mothers or our grandmothers until we need to. Like, they have some good things. It's not all bad, but breaking those bad things and rewiring our children to be, a little more gentle and a little more sure of themselves.
Yeah, that's all I want really for her and for all of them, is like to know they're loved and to be exactly who they are.
Yes. And to know that no matter who they choose to be or love or do or any of that like the love that we have for them will always be there. And like, it truly is unconditional. And why am I getting emotional right now? I just love kids so much.
I just love them.
They're just great.
They're so special and rad. I know. I had like a rough night with May like 2 nights ago. She was just like screaming at me to like snuggle her correctly. She had a nightmare and she just wanted me to like hold her all night long in a particular position. And my back was just giving out. I just felt like a crumbling old mom, which I kind of am. And it was so hard and so painful. And finally my partner had to like come in and help and like read stories in the middle of the night and like derail her like crazy energy, her powerful energy. And I was up at like 4:00 in the morning, like Googling how to parent a 3-year-old, because I just felt like totally broken. The insight I had from that night was like, just let things go during the day. And every time she gets on my nerves or she has a meltdown over something that I just don't follow because she's 3 and like I don't understand why you're having a meltdown about wanting to bring that particular lamp downstairs or whatever, just tell her I love her like 1,000 times a day and hug her like 1,000 times a day, and then worry about everything else. And I don't know if it's just the last 2 days have been easier, but I feel like that has just been a huge relief, like where I'm like in the middle of an interaction and things are getting a little crazy. And I'm like, have I told you I loved you as part of this particular interaction? Have I hugged you as part of this interaction? That's like the main thing I can offer. And then like, do you need a fruit? Like what kind of snack?
Food is so often the answer, isn't it?
Oh my gosh, it always feels like it. Yeah. Some new snack is always like total magic to her.
Same.
Can you tell us about Foxglove Pharm? Where are things at for you? How can people support you? What are you doing? We know a lot of witches that we're really excited about the monthly subscription box. There's so many handcrafted things in there, and so many treasures. Where are you at with it? You have a lot of projects.
Yeah. So I took off my sweater for this. Yeah. So I was like, okay, get ready. Foxglove is in a bit of a transition period right now while I am just balancing all of the other wants and needs in my life. So it started, it was just a passion project. And then when I started doing the monthly subscription boxes, that has been my favorite thing because I learn right alongside everyone else. We pick a theme for the year and then each month really explores it deeper. And I'm able to craft new teas and potions and smell goody things. And I find all of these great people to partner with who are making like amazing art. And I just love this aspect of community and meeting these wonderful people. And oh my gosh, like I will get emails sometimes that are like, I just want you to know that getting this box is the highlight of my month, or I love the letters that you include. And it just makes me so incredibly happy to know that I'm having this like impact on other people. But then this year I picked up the wildlife rescue, and that started, long story short, I was furloughed from my day job, had some free time, and decided, well, I can open a rescue. And so did that. And then right as it was getting opened, I got a new full-time job. So everything kind of happened at once. And I did a bit of a tailspin, and I could feel myself, getting very overwhelmed and being completely incapable of asking for help and not setting boundaries. And I was really just not in a great place. And so thank goodness for quality friends who will sit you down and say like, hey, I noticed that you're always very stressed, or I've heard you say some things that make me worry. Like, how can I help you through this? And so my friends helped me decide, let's close the retail portion of Foxglove for now. So I took all of the anything that you could buy individually, like it's now marked sold out. Let's close this. Let's just work on the box. And I was able to hire one of my friends, Lindsay Mashburn. Shout out. She just got married.
Congratulations.
She's also the one who, right? She's done amazing art prints, and she's actually doing the stickers that are in each box this month that go along, this year, not this month, that go along with each astrology sign. Like, she is just awesome. And she's so helpful. And I hired her one night a week to come help me with boxes and to get that together. And this has all been a lesson in learning boundaries and accepting help. But all of that to say, even with Foxglove down to just being the subscription and only really being this one project per month, it's still a lot. And I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we're going to continue it into 2022 right now, or if I'm going to take a break, or maybe if we want to do bi-monthly or even quarterly. And my heart wants to do this still. My heart, it's never I don't make money off of them. I make enough to pay for it. And it fuels my own addiction to magic. But beyond that, it's not, nor has it ever been about money. But I don't ever want it to be something that, I talk about intention so much, and I don't want to be frustrated putting boxes together and then infusing that and sending it out into the world. Hi, everyone, you paid $50 for this box of magic and I am angry about it.
Right.
That's not cool.
Yeah.
So I'm really just kind of weighing things right now and figuring out, what is the best course, or if there's someone that, I could kind of pass the wand to and maybe let it be somebody else's baby for a while. I'm sure there's someone in the coven who would do probably a better job than me. So it's really just this transition period. And I'm trying to, again, just hold things lightly and not panic too much about what tomorrow will bring, and just keep planning the next month box until I either make a change or don't.
Yeah. What would that
tell me what to do with that?
I'm not going to tell you what to do. I have no idea what to do with anything. But what, also I love having opinions. So I'll probably tell you in 2 seconds after saying no. So I love having strong opinions about things. What would it look like to pass it on to somebody? What do you imagine that being like?
It would be like giving up a child for adoption, truly.
Yeah.
I'm so invested in it. And that's been part of my reluctance, what if they don't do it right? What if they are inconsistent, but all of the what ifs, if you focus on what ifs all day, you'll never get anything done or go anywhere, and you might just dig a hole and crawl in it. But, I know that if it were something that I would pass on, the right person would just manifest. I would find the right person and I would know. And if it didn't feel right, then I wouldn't do it. Because there are some people who have been I mean, some of the people who had subscribed the very first month are still subscribers. Like, we've grown together for 3 years. You know, I can't betray them and just hand them off to some second-rate lady.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know exactly what it would look like. I would hope to like still be a partner in at least some way for a time, you know, to help ease the transition and make it gentle and smooth versus just like, well, it's Sami, now it's this new guy.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. Like having a partnership, you know, maybe even a mentorship, somebody you could teach some things to who really has a vision for building that business. I mean, you could bring somebody on as a partner or something. I hold out hope for a coven magic future for those boxes that helps them continue to find homes, because they really are special. Here's a question for you. So often at the end of these episodes, I like to ask people, like, if you have a recipe or a spell or something that you are doing for yourself right now, or that you would offer to other listeners in the coven for, you know, this time of the final harvest, the dark days. But I'm going to ask you a little bit differently, like that same question, but also what would you tell yourself? Like, what would you offer yourself in this moment if you were, you know, crone witch looking back at Sami, like right now with all of these projects, like, and then but in the spirit of like offering that to all of us. No pressure. Big question.
Yeah. Big pressure. No question. What? So I think what I need to hear, and what I imagine most of us need to hear, is that just existing is enough. You don't have to be productive. You don't have to get every item on your to-do list marked off. And if you want to get all of those things done, you have to take care of yourself. So take time and slow down. And if that means waking up early and having like 30 minutes by yourself, or if it means sleeping later because you feel better sleeping later, you know, do that. Like, do what you need to do for yourself, and don't put it off. Like, don't focus on making everyone else's magic and forget to make your own, because like you matter a whole bunch. Mm-hmm. Take a nap.
Take a fucking nap. Take a blessed nap.
As your witch doctor, I advise you, take a nap.
Yeah, I think that's what we all need to hear right now. I feel that heavy and hard in my bones. Just maybe don't be productive for a little while. Just drink some tea and lie down for 5 minutes.
Yeah, and if you find your zen by watching a dumb TV show, like, that's fine. And if you feel most at ease being in a dark room, like, that's fine. Like, find the nothing that speaks to you. Like, do the nothing that helps your heart feel the best and makes your soul feel full, you know? Mm-hmm. For me, like, if I can just get in my kayak and be in any body of water, mm-hmm. I am instantly cured of any ailment. And so, you know, for other people, it's just watching The Office or doing some yoga and just screaming into the void. I mean, like, hell, that feels really fucking good sometimes. Mm-hmm. Do what your soul needs, and don't worry about getting everything done.
Yeah. Yeah, I highly recommend the listening to really loud, trippy music in the bath. That's my new favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Just me in the waves of the like screaming.
That's the best. I love a bath.
Thank you for being here and for being so vulnerable and willing to sort of go with me on these things that I'm just sort of thinking out loud about with you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel honored. When you guys reached out, I literally texted every one of my friends and I was like, you aren't even going to believe this. They all believed it. They were all like,
well, yeah. Yeah.
That makes sense. I'm like, this doesn't make sense to me. But no, it's been so nice. And I love you guys so much. And I'm so glad that I've been able to, follow you on this journey this far. And I love everything you do. And I'm so glad to get to be a small part of it today.
Yeah. Yeah. Likewise. You're a beautiful light and support of so many with your boxes and your projects and your wildlife rescue. So take your advice and take care of yourself. And we'll see you in the Coven Circle. And I'm sure many people listening want to know where they can find you so they know what happens next. Do you want to share that?
You can find me in the form of a murder of crows on the telephone lines. You can also find me at Foxglove Pharm with a PH on Instagram, and Out of the Woods Wildlife on Instagram. Also Facebook, TikTok, and all the other places, but I spend the most time there.
And if a member of the Coven wanted to reach out with a desire to I don't know, uplift you or support you or collaborate with you, should they message you through Instagram or your website? Or
it all makes its way to me eventually. Instagram, I'm usually pretty quick about. There's also foxglovefarm@gmail.com. I'm kind of all over.
Yeah.
Oh, can I just say really quickly, because I mentioned Lindsay earlier, and I didn't mention my amazing friend Liz, who has been running the Foxglove Pharm Instagram account for the past several months. And she has done an amazing job and posts the best memes. And every time I see one that I didn't know she was going to be posting, I always get tickled because it's just so perfect. She really nailed the essence and spirit of the brand. And she's just amazing. And I feel like an asshole for not mentioning her until just right now.
I mean, I'm glad that you called her in. The Foxglove Pharm Instagram is a constant source of delight. So shout out to Liz.
She's amazing. She is an amazing human in so many ways, but definitely a fantastic meme collector.
Oh my gosh. I think that the people that we surround ourselves with are the most magic. Sounds like you're deep in that magic.
I am so lucky to have just these magical women surrounding me.
Well, listeners,
including you.
Yeah, you have us surrounding you. Hear us in your ears. Come find us on the Patreon, where we gather with the circle monthly now. Hang out with us on Instagram. Hang out with us in the podcast here, where you are listening to us now. And know that you are part of a powerful circle of women and queer people and people of marginalized genders and men too, and badass humans and animals and fungi too, probably. I don't know who else is listening, but we love you all and we're all here for each other at this strange fucking moment in the world. Be safe and blessed fucking be.
You must be a witch.